Bubbles of info. Bubbles of fun. Bubbles of music. Ever wonder why these people do the Macarena? Or who styles Tina's hair? Well, find out on VH1's Pop-Up Video. Fun-filled facts packed into your favorite videos. Only on VH1. Pop-Up Video. Pop-Up Video.
Understanding him is hard. Ow! Controlling him...
Promise me to stay right here.
...may be impossible.
Oh, my God!
From the director of Wayne's World, Chris Farley, David Spade.
So what do you want to do today?
No, 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 no! Black Sheep.
Promise me you'll stay in the car.
3 minutes was good.
5 3 minutes was great.
But 10 minutes free with my psychic is even better. My psychic told me not to worry. So I went back to school and now I've got a great job. Now that's a true friend.
Talking about true friends, 10 minutes free is where it's at.
Now that's for me.
She knew that my boyfriend Donald was scared of commitment. But the advice she gave me turned the tables. And now he's begging me for attention.
Get 10 minutes free. Call 1-900-454-1143.
Happy late Saturday night. I don't know if we've ever done a watch-along or any kind of video that wasn't a pay-per-view review this late in the evening. It's like that Paul Rudd on Hot Ones. Hey, look at us. Look at us. We're here. very late. It is 10:30 on the East Coast, 7:30 on the West Coast here in the States, and we are here to make up last week's Starrcade 1997 watch-along, which we attempted to do last Sunday, and a whole bunch of terrible coincidences happened in a row that allowed us to have that major screw up. The biggest one was that I didn't allow myself much time to prep the stream. Usually I'm up here 30 minutes before checking everything, and if there's any problems, I'm going to know that well ahead of time. Last week got a really late start, didn't even go live or pull up all my stuff until about 10 minutes until we were supposed to be streaming, and had I done it earlier, I would have realized that we had an internet issue in the house. There was an outage down the road that left 10,000 customers without power, and it was on the news and everything, and that somehow affected our internet. I had power, but it made our internet shoddy all day long, and it screwed us up last week. So again, from the bottom of my heart, I apologize to death for that, but we did make up for it the next night. I was here on Monday with a mic drop on the William Regal situation, and we watched Monday Night Raw together on Monday night, kind of just a little makeup watch along since we shit the bed the night before. So it kind of gave me a thought that I think on weeks when I'm not available to watch Dynamite, I'm going to watch Raw instead. I'm always here on Monday night, or I'm always off on Monday nights, but, you know, sometimes I don't do Raw reviews. Most of the time I don't. I take that night off. But if there's going to be weeks where I can't be here for the Dynamite watch-along, we're going to go old school and watch Raw instead. Gives us a chance to hang out, talk about wrestling news, chit-chat, keep ourselves busy while we're trying to stay awake during Monday Night Raw. Plus, we can put the football game on and shit like that. So there will not be a Raw watch-along tomorrow, but I will be here on Wednesday for the Dynamite watch-along unless something crazy happens. But that is going to be the plan moving forward in upcoming weeks, just so I can make sure that I'm always here to give you guys content. So here we are to make up last week's Starrcade 1997. I just pulled it up on Peacock, and I'm still paused on 12 minutes from last week. That's where we had our problems, and we attempted to come back up here and resume 12 minutes in. Didn't work out, and we just kiboshed the whole thing. But I'm still paused on 12 minutes, but we are going to start from the beginning all the way back again. So go to your Peacock, pull up Starrcade under the WCW tab. You want to go to Season 15, Episode 1. 2 hours, 43 minutes, 12-second runtime. And we're going to hit play here in just a second. Let me say hi to everybody that is hanging out on this late night chat with us. Let's see who's here. We've got Victor Colon in the house, NG Dre, Zane G, Zach Palgett, Fox Star Killer. We've got Victor Colon, Did I Get You? Deshaun Robinson, the Juliet, How Wheezy in the house as well. That should do it for the channel members. We also have William McIlwain in the house. Hey, Jack Johnson. Yeah, the preview channel. Good old childhood triggered. Sam, what's up? Good to see you. We got David Brown in here from Scotland. Always good to see you, my friend, as well as Sam, always up against UFC. I am? Is there UFC right now? Wow. Well, I'm usually not up here on Saturday nights. I actually usually work Saturday nights. I'm very rarely up here unless we have a pay-per-view or something to review. Otherwise, I'm usually at work, but it worked out this week that I happen to be off tonight. That's why I planned this makeup watch along for tonight. But if you guys want to fill us in on the UFC results as we go through here while we're kicking back and watching Starrcade, you are welcome to do that. And I'm going to let you guys know what we're going to do tomorrow as well. We've got Ruben Litton in the house. We got Surge is here, and We Are Pro Wrestling. Thanks for staying up late, my friend. Might have a couple of questions for you, although we did talk about this show a little bit last week before we got cut off. Thank you very much, Star Killer, for joining the family. Fox Star Killer, I should say. Glad you're here for the do-over as well, and good to see Guardian of Chaos. Regina, Tall Girl, is in here as well, and anybody else that might be chiming in. Ajax, chiming in with $2. Appreciate that, my friend. Here to watch along on my birthday. Happy birthday, Ajax Johnson. How old are you, man? Saturday night birthday, chilling out with us, watching some wrestling. Can't go wrong. Tim Barch, good to see you as well, my friend. Fat Laces Picola, Skull Vikings rolling in here as well, rounding out the chat for right now. So yeah, we shouldn't waste any time since we're kind of getting a late start. That way I'm not keeping you guys up too much past, like 1 a.m. your time, but I stay up till 4 a.m. every night. I'm not a pussy, so I think we should be fine, but I do know it is late depending on where you live on this blue and green ball that's just floating around the sun. Depends on where you are. And some of you might be staying up real late with us tonight. Good to see Transferring Heat as well. Yeah, we're going to talk about today's wrestling tomorrow. Before we start Starrcade, here's what we got planned tomorrow. Double duty. Normally on Saturdays, we do the Winged Eagle podcast, but we had Ring of Honor Final Battle and we had NXT Deadline today, both kind of back-to-back shows. Plus, I had a really busy day. I've had a really busy week. I finally bought my new car and I've been cleaning up my accident bullshit. And so I knew that I was going to be dealing with that pretty late in the week. So there was no point in me trying to get up here today and do a Winged Eagle. because there's going to be a lot happening tonight. So we have bumped the Winged Eagle to tomorrow. I have not put the link up yet. It will be up later on tonight after we're done with this watch-along. We're going to be up here at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, so that might interfere with a little bit of football tomorrow, but we're going to kind of bust out a Winged Eagle, talk about the Sasha Banks Wrestle Kingdom New Japan news, speculate on her future, talk about Ring of Honor Final Battle, talk about Deadline, and any other wrestling news we need to get into, talk about this past week's Dynamite with Ricky Starks and MJF, and anything else we missed this past week. We're going to get into that tomorrow, 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, right here for the Winged Eagle podcast. And then we're going to take about an hour and a half break and come back and do a members-only watch-along. Now, this is going to be a members-only chat. Everybody can watch, but I'm just going to let the members chat. And it's going to be of Royal Rumble 2000. Decided to take a little U-turn, get away from the Starrcades and December-related pay-per-views, and since we're kind of doing 2 watch-alongs back-to-back here this weekend, I thought tomorrow we would do members only, since I owe you guys one of those anyway. Plus, it will be a 3-hour members-only watch-along instead of a 2. And we're going to be doing a giveaway. And we are going to be giving away 3 Sami Zayn My Dog t-shirts that are currently available on ProWrestlingTees.com. 100% of the proceeds go to Sammy for Syria, a charity that we have donated to on this channel several times, and I thought this would be a really fun thing to do. So I'm not going to purchase them yet because I don't want to have to worry about sizes for any of you. So tomorrow night on the members only watch along, and I'm going to really just open this to the members. You guys need some perks for being channel members, and I think what we're going to do is do some trivia. So I'm going to kind of think up between tonight and tomorrow. I'm going to think up 3 trivia questions, and I'm just going to ask them tomorrow night during the stream, and the first person to get it right wins the shirt. We'll do that 3 times. Tomorrow we'll give away 3 t-shirts. That way, once you win, you can contact me, let me know your shirt size. I'll order the shirt, send it to you, and we're going to do it like that. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow night. Double duty, Winged Eagle podcast, follows by members only chat, Royal Rumble 2000 watch along. But if you are not a member, do not worry. Moderators, I believe, can still chat as well, and everybody can watch. So everybody can watch this, but only those good old family members are the ones that can be doing the chatting in the typing and all that stuff. So that's what's going on tomorrow. Kind of a weird weekend. I've been really out of the wrestling loop all week long, just dealing with personal stuff, work, and everything else going on. So it's been a busy week. I'm happy to be here with a nice, fresh, open Stella and with, some internet that's actually working this week so we can finally watch Starrcade 1997. And as we're going through it, we will be talking about Final Battle, Jericho losing the title, tapping out to the swing, the gnarly match between FTR and the Briscoes. Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia apparently tore the house down. Pretty decent Deadline show tonight as well. So I'll give you my thoughts on that as we go through. And we'll talk about Ring of Honor TV getting a new home, which is not what many of us were hoping. I think a lot of us had much bigger ideas for Ring of Honor. Not sure how it's going to do on the Honor channel or whatever for the $9.99. Was hoping for something like HBO Max. Looks like that is still coming down the road. And their temporary home, at least for right now, is going to be a streaming subscription service that is going to be $10, relaunching the Honor streaming or whatever the fucking thing is. Anyway, enough rambling. We got to get into this. Ray Fran, good to see you. Ruben Litton, welcome to the family. Thanks for joining. You'll be ready to rock and roll tomorrow. Maybe you can win yourself a My Dog t-shirt. So in this time of me flapping my gums, hopefully you've gone over to Peacock, pulled up WCW, pulled up Starrcade, went to season 15. Look for episode 1. Don't look for like episode 6. It's episode 1 of season 15 of Starrcade, 1997. And we are going to hit play in the count of 3 in just a second. So you guys get your fingers ready. Yes, and New Day as well. I kind of had a feeling they would win the NXT titles, tag titles, because I was like, why would they send them down there just to beat their champions and come back? You'd get much more mileage out of New Day, I think, if you had them go down there, win the titles, and then that way they can drop them back to them or to a different young team. But now, with New Day being NXT champions, what that means is that 2 people in NXT get to defeat, one of the greatest tag teams in WWE history for the championships. That's kind of cool. So I think New Day winning the titles tonight set up for a pretty cool moment when they drop them to a team down the road. And if that team goes on to do great things in their careers and they become Hall of Famers, they're going to look back to that night when they beat the New Day as a pretty big night in their careers. So I think that's kind of cool. Anyway, we'll keep our eye on that. Hopefully you guys have got your fingers ready. I'm going to get my shit dialed in here. And we'll do a countdown from 3 and hit play together. All right, I got to do my double mouse deal. All right, I'm ready. I'm primed and ready to go. Hopefully you guys are as well. You ready? Here we go. Let's rock on Starrcade 1997. 3, 2, 1, play. All right, I have done it. We're good on my end. Like I said, you guys know the drill. Don't skip any intros. Timer above my head is running. Just keep syncing with that. Just on the off chance that we do have some sort of an interruption, just remember the timer above my head always keeps running. So if I pause or I freeze and we're no longer synced up, just make sure your Peacock matches the timer and everything is milk and cookies. Would it be weird to call this show WrestleMania 15 of Starrcades? No, I don't think so. And here comes Sting. Yeah, last week during this intro, I wasn't paying much attention to it because I think we were dealing with the bullshit. What's the opener here? It is Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko, I believe. We were talking about that last week prior to the interruption, where I think We Are Pro Wrestling was letting us know that Dean Malenko had his kid and he requested time off, but due to some other talent missing the show, like Kevin Nash, they needed him to work, and he took a private jet to get there, apparently, and was able to work the opening match here against Eduardo. Washington DC. That's what Slick used to say. I forgot where WWE was one night, but they were. It was maybe a Saturday night's main event, and they were in DC. And Slick is like, right here in Washington DC. Hilarious. Damn, that's an aggressive pyro. Isaiah, what's up, man? We have started. We are only 1 minute and 40 seconds in, so you're good. Ha! Boy, I got some competition tonight. I'm going up against the UFC, NBA, and the Shawn Michaels media call. I feel bad for them. I'm going to fuck up UFC, NBA, and Shawn Michaels' business here. I'm going to put a hurting on their ratings. Oh, well, that's what they get for going up against me. I know, Danny. I'm on the West Coast, man. I had so much going on today, I could not watch a pay-per-view at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Just couldn't do it. Too much happening. Bought a car yesterday and then left all my shit in my rental, the stuff that I pulled out of my crashed car that was in the trunk. I was so happy to get the new car. I just drove away, boom, left. All my shit's still there. I got to go down to the rental place on Monday and pick up all my stuff. That was one of the things I was going to accomplish today, but they were closed. It's Booker T, Stevie Ray, and Sonny Owen. Why are all these guys here? Look at Valent. Is that Greg Valentine? Bobby Eaton. We got Gentleman Chris Adams. Holy shit. We got Barry Darso. Bill DeMott. Who else we got? Holy shit. Oh, there's Glacier. I think that was one of the Public Enemy guys. There's Brian Adams. So they're all here to watch this match? That's so funny. Last week when I was panicking during this shit, I was missing all this. I didn't even realize they had the talent in the stands. Destiny has brought Hollywood Hulk Hogan here. Destiny. Ted DiBiase, the $1 million man. The man who can buy anything but Dusty Rhodes, the American dream. But the American way of life that lives in this heart. I love Dusty. Tie these horses. Here comes Deanie. That's all we know. And that's all I got to say about that. Yeah, so Kevin Nash, I guess we talked about this briefly last week. I guess he had, some sort of a heart scare. And he was in the hospital, and he missed this show. Now, I also remember, and I'm just speculating here, but I also remember this being around the time where I believe Sean Waltman was released. And I do remember reading the sheets and at that time and hearing that Nash was really pissed about him being let go. So maybe this was a political play by Nash. Maybe he purposely missed the show or something and just pretended he had a heart attack. I don't know. Nash, if you're listening, I'm not accusing you of lying if you're not. I just wonder what the real story with that was, because I do know that Nash was legit mad. The New World Order. Fucking Eddie, man. Look at all these guys. We got, I think I just saw Douchebag Inferno. We did a watch along a couple of months ago. The fucker had 2 matches on the pay-per-view. I'm like, what's going on here? Is this fool following me around? All right. Yeah, Fox Star Killer. Thank you for reminding me how bad WrestleMania 15 sucked, because I was there. One day I'll pull it out and show it to you. I still have from the WWE corporate headquarters, my envelope with my ticket, my pre-order ticket info. I got some deal where I got to get in on some tickets before anybody else. I mean, I guess it was their version of like a pre-order back in the day, but you had to get like on a list. The only reason I was on it is because I knew Vince McMahon's secretary, Beth Zaza, and she was the one that I think pulled the strings on that. And I remember getting the letter in, and I had to fill it out. I still had to pay, and I was able to get my tickets in the mail. I had them physically in my hands before they even went on sale. Very cool. Back in my WWE VIP days when they actually knew who I was. Okay, so Waltman wasn't released until March of... Oh, shit. So he was released that close to WrestleMania 14? I was thinking he was gone a couple months before then, because when he showed up the night after WrestleMania 14, I wasn't surprised. The cat was out of the bag. Everybody knew that Waltman was coming back in. But I thought it was like more of a long time coming than that. Wow. Crazy. This one breaking loose. Well, props to Dean, who apparently just had his baby, and he's in here working in a match with Eddie, with Little Nate as a referee. It's like 2 of my favorite WCW wrestlers at the time and my favorite WCW referee. Actually, I don't know if he's my favorite. Might have to give Pee Wee Anderson a nod for my favorite. Brian Hildebrand as well. But not Nick Patrick. Yeah, we'll talk about the Hogan stuff later. Here's what I remember about it. Was the deal supposed to be like Nick Patrick was supposed to count fast, and then Bret would come in and restart the match, but he didn't. And kind of the reason, and like the word is that Hogan got to Nick Patrick and told him to count regular speed. Is that what happened? Just kind of protect him. So when he pins Sting, it just looks like a regular count, and it, protects Hogan and it hurts Sting. The fucking match was a debacle, but I don't remember much about it. I've only watched the match probably one time in my life. Ow, jeez, what a powerbomb. My God. That's another controversy going on. That's right. Oof, Jesus, Eddie. Yeah, I mean, back in those days, WWE could get away with a bad show because you had Austin and Rock on the card, and that was going to be your main event. And no matter what, the plan is for Austin to go over in the main event and win the title. So even if you do have a shitty show, I guess the hope was probably that the Austin victory and that whole full circle thing and him beating The Rock, and feels like getting Vince McMahon off his back for the final time. The whole thing kicked off the year prior, right after WrestleMania 14. Full year goes by. They feud for a whole year. And Austin wins the title, beating The Rock, celebrating with a boot on Vince's chest, pouring beer on him, and You know, it was great, but that was not a good day for Austin either. Forgot his vest. He had to come out there wearing a jacket. I picked the worst WrestleMania to go to. Only Greg can go to the greatest WrestleMania of all time, WrestleMania 3, and the worst WrestleMania of all time. It's all or nothing for me, man. Hopefully this year at WrestleMania 39, I will be there, by the way, in L.A. Will be better. Who else is going? Juliet, We Are Pro Wrestling, Victor, Dre, any of y'all going to WrestleMania? Come to L.A.
WCW, the fact that Kevin Nash would not be in attendance here tonight. And immediately we thought, something is up. But we're not sure.
Oh, you haven't heard that story regarding Nick Patrick? That's what I had always heard, is that Hogan got to him before the match. It's like, hey, look, brother, you know, when you do that fast count, don't do it fast. That way it looks like I beat Sting. Because that's the way Hogan was. I wouldn't put it past Hogan at all. At all. That's exactly the way Hogan thinks. East Coast and broke. Eastbound and down. I've been there too. Yeah, if you're on the East Coast, I can't blame anybody for not making the trip out here. Like, I don't, as much as I want to go to WrestleMania 40, Philly, man, you don't get much further away from San Diego than Philadelphia. Boston's probably a hair further away, but not by much. I mean, it's far. Although I did go to Miami to get on that Jericho cruise, and that's a pretty long haul, too, from here. But as of right now, a whole year in advance, I don't have plans to be at WrestleMania 30. I think I'm going to go next year to 39. Or I'm sorry, WrestleMania 40. Go next year to 39 and probably not make the trip to Philly. Just too far. And nothing against Philly, but I've been there a million times. Philly's cool and everything, but I live in San Diego. And I'm not leaving this city to go to that one. Even if it is WrestleMania. Ugh. I don't even have warm clothes. I think I have like one hoodie. It's an AEW hoodie. It's the only thing I have. That's all I got. Michael Kumo, appreciate the $2. 11:27 were worse than 15. You might have a point. I think 11 was. 11 definitely was. Because 15 it was still Attitude Era. Even though 15 was a bad show independently, you know, just a standalone show, what was surrounding wrestling at the time was really, really good. Where WrestleMania 11, not only did the show suck, but the time period sucked. So you got a point there on 11. And probably 27 too. WrestleMania 2 I liked. Only for the nostalgia factor. But WrestleMania 2 definitely did feel like maybe they bit off more than they could chew. And going 3 venues like that at the same time, it was basically just felt like one just big night of wrestling. Couple big matches. Bulldogs won the titles. You had Hogan and Bundy in a cage. Piper, Mr. T. You had some attractions on each show. But a lot of it was, slightly underwhelming. Although there were interesting matches. I think we had Hercules and Ricky Steamboat on that show. Who did Orndorff work with at WrestleMania 2? Did he work Morocco? Might have been Orndorff or Morocco. Shit, I don't remember the WrestleMania 2 card now. I know it was Savage and Animal Steel for the IC. Public If You Will. God, I love Dusty. Do we get Dusty for the whole 3 hours, or is Mike Tenay going to come? Or Bobby Heenan going to replace him? I'm kind of hoping for 2.5 hours of Dusty. Yeah, Serge, you're right. Now, if they are ever going to do a 3-venue simulcast, now is when you would think they would do that. For 1986, that was probably not easy for them to do. Now, we could do it. We get a 3-way stream going here with other YouTubers. It'd be super easy. But back then, man. Dirk Diggler sign in the audience. That's funny. All right, we are officially now 2 minutes past where we had to die last week. We made it 12 minutes, I think, until we just had to give up. Heenan was not on Starrcade 97, only the pre-show. Interesting. Hogan fears emo. Hitman 316, I just broke your jaw. It's a very topical sign. Although he didn't hit Vince in the jaw, he hit him in the face. But you didn't know that at the time. Because when I heard about the punch the next day after the screw job, but all I heard was he knocked Vince out. I just figured it was a straight face shot. But yeah, he could have broke his jaw. But I guess he clocked him right in the eye. Jesus. Watch out, Eddie. You almost took out little Nate there. Peacock edited Ice-T out of WrestleMania 16. Of course they did. Because why wouldn't they? I mean, I know Triple H has got a lot on his plate, but can he delegate this responsibility to somebody to look into the Peacock and the music dubbing and just pay your fucking royalties and have everything? I mean, you're getting billions of dollars. They set record profits every year. Pay for your music, you cheap fucks. Yeah, I see that Detroit is the front runner for SummerSlam. Good for them. It's funny that they say they don't know where the venue will be. I just assumed it would be Ford Field, unless they want to go back small for SummerSlam again. Maybe they're not sure about being able to fill a big stadium show for SummerSlam. I was at Allegiant Stadium for SummerSlam a couple years ago, and it was only half full. Basically only utilized half the arena for it. And then they had to move Money in the Bank out of that same building and move it down the road to the MGM Grand. Make your liver quiver. But SummerSlam going to Detroit would be cool. They haven't been there since that now infamous Luger match. That was a good move by Eddie, the way he came down and hyperextended Dean's knee like that. Yeah, WCW was in this really small little window right here that lasted maybe about 2 months, maybe even less, of where they probably felt like there was going to be no stopping them. Even as a WWE fan and somebody who sided with them in the Monday Night Wars, when they lost Bret, I thought that was it. I was like, I don't know how they can survive that. They've literally lost everybody. Now they've lost their sitting champion. They actually had to screw him, take the belt off of him. They look like assholes in the process. And now, you know, basically the uncrowned WWE champion is going to the competition, a guy that, Bret, you just associated with WWE. You never associated with Bret with any other promotion. He was just a WWE guy. Look at these legends. Is that Mike Enos next to Barry Darso, I think? I'm not sure. So, oh, yeah, that's true. Comerica Park, but I would not do that. If you have, I would only do outdoor if that's like your only option. I mean, if Ford Field is right there, just do Ford Field. Don't risk the fucking rain. I used to live in Michigan, and I used to live in the suburbs of Detroit. And in the summertime, we got a shit ton of rain, and we had tornadoes all the time. I'd stay out outside. One of these days, and we've already seen it happen at WrestleMania 38 when they had that storm, but sooner or later, something even worse could happen. So I don't think they should play with fire if they don't have to. Don't tempt fate. Oh, well, I guess if they played with fire, the rain would put it out, huh? Probably Heenan wasn't on Starrcade because the week before he whistled his way to commentate on NWO Nitro, basically turning on WCW. Whistled like the beginning to Patience? The whole thing? He Axl Rose to that shit? Heenan teased a couple times, you know, because Heenan would have made sense for the NWO as well. Actually, no, he wouldn't have, because he always maintained that he didn't like Hogan. But his WWE ties could have made that work. And I also thought he was going to have something to do with the Horsemen at one point as well. But I think Bobby was just really not wanting to manage or travel at that time. A weaseled. Oh, well, that makes way more sense. Weaseled. Okay. So let me reread that with that word. Probably Heenan wasn't on Starrcade because the week before he weaseled his way to commentate on NWO Nitro. Okay, was that the week that they had their own show? And then, I don't remember that. I don't remember how that came about, but interesting. I was kind of hoping he whistled. I don't know what they were going for there, but it did not look good. Who was hotter, 99 or 97 Sting or 98 Goldberg? 98 Goldberg. AJ, what's up, by the way? Because Goldberg was in the ring and running over people and getting crazy crowd reactions. Sting was getting crowd reactions too, but his was a lot of theatrics, you know, where Goldberg was, people were just attaching to him, you know, a lot like they did with Austin. And although Sting was super popular, Sting was popular the way Bret was popular. Goldberg was popular the way Austin was popular. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me in my head, but that's kind of how I would... Like Sting, of course, is extremely over, just like Bret is extremely over, just like Shawn is extremely over. But nobody had that Austin and that Rock and that Goldberg type of energy that they could bring. I really wish we got a little bit more of Bret in Japan. That would have been cool. He's worked with a couple guys, but oh shit. Big frog splash on the hip. On Malenko's hip. And he okay, I thought Dean won this match. He flew all the way in just to lose? Eddie's still champ. Hogan is older than dirt, is what that sign said. I'm not sure how old Hogan was during this time, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't much older than I am right now. So that means Greg is also older than dirt. What year was Hogan born? 1955 or something, maybe? Hogan? That would put him... Oh, no, he's probably born in like 48 or something. So, yeah, he was probably... I'd say Hogan was probably 48 here. I'm not sure. Dun, 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 dun. I do like that Eddie's music has remained intact. Makes me happy. Hulk Hogan, born. Hogan, when were you born, dude? Oh, 1953. Okay, he's only 69. He's a year younger than my mother. My mom is 70. My mom is 25 years older than me. That's a scary thing to say out loud. I'll be 70 in 25 years. Carry the one. Oh, fuck. Jesus. Yeah, I'm not okay with that. Let's make it 50 in 25 years. Let's just say I'll be 50. Sounds much better. Hogan was 4, so I'm older. Holy Jesus, I am older than Hogan was in this match, and I was one of those fans at the time that it was always about that. I was always talking about how old Hogan was, because back in these days, wrestling in your mid-40s was considered old. Now everybody is. Brock, AJ, Bobby Lashley, Cena when he's here. Some of the biggest names are well into their 40s. I mean, AJ Styles is 45 years old. So is Lashley. Lashley might be 46 now. Lashley is older than Hogan on this show. But even in 96, even in 95, I was calling Hogan a dinosaur, you know? Imagine that. Oh, yeah, Zach, you'll be 50 in 25 years, you shithead. Your mom is born on the same day as Hogan? Maybe they were in the cribs next to each other. I might be here streaming. I don't know if I'm going to be on YouTube that many years in advance or that many years ahead. Who knows? Hey, yo. No matter what the crowd did, he was always like, one more for the good guys. Yeah, Savage was older than Hogan. That's right. Classic watch along in 20 years, WrestleMania 30. Yeah, well, I'll be sitting here. I'll be 65, just collecting. I probably would just have taken out my 401k, living off that, kicking back, no job, watching WrestleMania 30. Back when I would have been, how old was I? I would have been 37. 37. I would have been 37 at WrestleMania 30. It's fucking crazy. No, it wouldn't. I would have been 37. Yeah, 37. WCW. Boo. No, I didn't come to see WCW. Did you guys? Not me. Fuck them. Or, I always love the or. The big delayed or. Or now. He didn't say or. That's right. One more for the good guys. Yeah, what did Scott? You said Scott. Did he cut the same promo a year later at Starrcade? Did he cut a promo a year later? We watched it last year. I know he cost Goldberg the match. Oh, that's right. He gets the shot because he won World War III. That's right. So he faces the winner at Super Brawl. Some bad news. My big buddy. Hear me out. Hall is letting us know, no Nash.
So what's the reason here? Yeah. Hey, he told me if you had a problem with it, that you could meet him down there.
Down there. Where?
Down where, you ask?
Down where you? I didn't ask.
You know where. So anyway,
Now, let me ask you, why would Kevin Nash want me to meet him down there?
somebody out here,
I can think of better meeting places than that.
he won. Hey,
McDonald's,
Frankie Goof, you just tell everybody that you won, okay?
back of a 7-Eleven, but not down there. I like how he used to always do the giant thing. Oh, God, is he going to get taken out? Who's coming in? Oh, here's the giant. Oh, yeah, here. Sorry. You're probably hearing a reverb because I usually turn my mic down, and I didn't. And I also have... Oh, I got a new speaker bar coming from Amazon because it's weird. I have two different speaker setups for my two computers. And normally, this computer is not hooked up to the speaker bar. But when I updated the other day to Windows 11, it, like, fried the speaker. So I had to like swap them with the other computer. So this one's kind of like not working. So I got a new one coming. So it's probably louder than it normally is. But I'm going to turn the mic down and we'll try to. Yeah, another thing that I don't like doing that some streamers do is I hate headphones. I don't want to wear them. They're annoying. And I want to be able to hear in case, there's an explosion or earthquake or something like that. I want to be able to hear like what my surroundings, and I just don't want that on my head. So I just try to keep the volume low enough to where it doesn't pick up on the microphone. We've never had any problems. I've never had any copyright issues. Giant will still be there for another year. Is this before or after Nash dropped Giant on his head? That might have been the early 98. That might have been Sold Out. Was it Sold Out? Hall going right at. And takes out. And Giant's like, fuck that. Michael Kumo, appreciate that. Dude, thank you for the $5. 20 plus years ago, I used to bring up that Hogan is the exact same age as my dad. He's 2 months older than Hogan. To him, to get to work out, exercise more. That's really funny. Yeah, to me as a fan at this time period, Hogan was an old man, which means anybody who's watching me right now in the stream who's 20 years old looks at me the way I looked at Hogan, as an old, crusty, sexy man. Hall is so high up in the air. That was almost a last ride more than a jackknife. That's great. Barry, that was the story of WCW Nitro, man. Every week, WCW would bury their own company. They would have a bunch of people that just got done working for the competition that they shit on and give away results of every week, come in and make all of their talent look like J-Brones. And yet Bischoff thinks that he should be able to criticize to the degree that he does when he made some of the most ridiculous decisions in the history of the business ever. And he's going to get mad at Tony Khan for something stupid. I'm like, bitch, look what you did. That's like the pot calling the kettle stupid. Oh, we're keeping score. WCW 1, NWO nothing. WCW 1, NWO nothing. Write it down. Well, if you don't have a pen, go get one. Jeez, idiots. God. Okay, yeah, I've got my score written down. There's going to be a quiz later. Oh, late ass music. You know, underrated theme is that the Jobber NWO theme. Like that the second tier NWO guys had to come out to the ring too, like Bird, Vincent, and Norton. Dun, 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 dun. It's good. It slaps. Is that what they say these days? It slaps? I think it slaps. I love that. Love that music. Okay, it was Sold Out. It was before. Yeah, Sold Out. I think I remember that because I remember when I like envisioned the bump, I see that Sold Out logo underneath him. Something WWE never did. The only time ever, and I could be wrong about the ever thing, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm not completely right. Raw Bowl in 1996, that stupid football game match they had. That and WrestleMania 12 are the only times I can think of that WWE had shit on the ring. Like writing and texts and logos. And one of the only times they ever did it, I have a piece of the ring from my WrestleMania 12 plaque. But yeah, Raw Bowl, they had like a green ring, and I think it said Raw on it, and might have had some yard lines or something. And then WrestleMania 12 had a whole bunch of shit on it. But I can't think of another WWE show that had images on the ring. Canvas. Look at Ted DiBiase. I forgot he was managing the Steiners. I always thought that was interesting, too, that Ted was managing them because he feuded with them and traded the tag team titles with them when he was with IRS in Money Inc. And I know maybe that was LOD. I thought Money Inc. and Steiners traded tag belts. I could be wrong about that. But they definitely faced. $1 Million Man has also had feuds with Ray Traylor. Big Boss Man turned babyface in a segment with Ted DiBiase. Why is Traylor there? Is this a six-man? Okay, so this is Boss Man and Steiners against Norton and Virgil. And so DiBiase, help me out. We Are Pro Wrestling, if you know. You probably do. Of course you do. How did DiBiase get booted from the NWO? Was he kicked out? Because he didn't really need to be there. He was brought in, I thought, as kind of like the mouthpiece, sort of. But then when Bischoff turned heel, there was really no reason to have DiBiase even there. So I guess WCW must have realized that too and got him out of there and made him a manager. But a babyface manager was weird for Ted because it had been many, many years prior to WWE before any fans had any clue what a babyface Ted DiBiase is like. And, oh, be still my heart. Look at her. These two. I'm just going to take it in. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like on a scale, on the, you know, the typical hotness scale for women of 1 to 10, Elizabeth's an 88. Good grief. She's always been my number one, you know, ever since I was like 10 years old. I have been madly head over heels in love with her. Which is pretty fitting that I'm with an Elizabeth now. And my Elizabeth loves me. Savage. He's going after... who is that guy? Is that just a fan? Like, I mean, it's Booker T and Stevie and Ray, and I love that, Stevie and Ray. Stevie Ray and Rey Mysterio are standing next to each other. Oh, I missed that super chat from Chris Miner. Appreciate that $2 earlier, my friend. Sup, Greg? Just got out of NXT Deadline. Great show. You were there? Sweet. That was awesome. Glad you were there. I actually probably watched about 70% of it. Didn't plan on watching all of it or any of it, but I found myself at home and had it on and was kind of eyeballing it. I'm not sure how I feel about those Iron Survivor challenges, but I felt like they were pulled off well, which is a credit to the talent because this is largely developmental talent. They're trying to pull off a new concept that's very convoluted, and I thought both matches looked pretty good from what I could tell. And they'll probably get, if they keep this concept going anyway, they'll probably improve on it. And we'll probably create some pretty cool memories in the future down the road or something, I would think. As long as they think the concept is going to work. I did see that Triple H is giving Shawn Michaels free reign to do whatever the fuck he wants in NXT, which is half scary and half cool. I think Shawn Michaels being able to do whatever he wants could give you potentially shaky, shady match concepts like these that actually did happen to work out, or really crazy gimmicks like scripts. So I don't know if that's good news or bad news for NXT. But that's cool that you were there. Looks like they're finally going to be moving out of that PC for once. Good to see Denise on there. I had no idea she was called in to do that. I've been busy all week. I probably would have seen tweets about it or whatever, but I just pull up NXT and there she is with Sam Roberts. I'm like, oh, hi. Look at there. Good for you. Good for you, girl. Savage, look at him. I mean, Savage is only a year older than me in this. Is that what I look like? Did my arms do that when I'm shirtless? Ugh. Yeah. One thing I didn't like, I did tweet about it too, when I turned on Deadline, the first match was that women's Iron Survivor thing. And the first woman to make her entrance is Roxanne Perez. And I immediately see when she's walking out that she's like getting emotional. She's like trying to hold back the tears. And I'm like, she's winning. She's winning. I mean, I'm not, and I tried to like word the tweet in a way to give this opinion. I'm like, I'm not saying that wrestlers shouldn't be passionate. You absolutely should. But wrestlers, developmental especially, and especially the women, it seems to be a little bit more prominent with the women or common with the women. You got to keep your emotions in check. It's one thing if, you know, the emotions get the best of you, if you have a CM Punk type of comeback or a Ruby Riott debut or some sort of situation that, you know, you just can't help just to get caught up in it. But you shouldn't be tearing up during your entrance for a fucking Performance Center Peacock match. Granted, it's not your typical match because it's this Iron Survivor stuff, but why would you get so emotional for 80 people cheering you. You know, like, I mean, I'm glad that she found the moment, you know, inspiring or whatever. But to me, that was giving it away that she's about to have a big moment out there. And sure enough, get to the end of the match and she wins. I'm like, it was written all over her face when she came out for her entrance. And that's one of my criticisms I have of some of this talent. I know WWE has a very grand and very glossy looking professional production finish, but you can't get caught up in all of that. You have to be a professional because you're in the big leagues now. This isn't Bush League. This isn't bullshit. You are in the big time. You are there. You have to own that. And you have to keep your emotions in check and don't burst into tears at every little tiny thing that happens to you. You're going to have a lot of PLE matches. You're going to have a lot of matches on Peacock and a lot of big moments if you want to succeed in this business. If you're cracking up and breaking down, you know, at a match that really in the grand scheme of things is probably going to be largely forgotten, you know, keep that shit together. That's part of the job. You're an actor, you know, and you have to keep your emotions in check. And I feel like Roxanne Perez, for as good as she is, hi, Elizabeth, for as good as she is, gave away the finish when she cried when she came out there. Stop that, wrestlers. That's old man Greg giving you some advice. Deep breath. Stay composed. Don't fold like origami. Some people you can say, I mean, and it's not just, I shouldn't just say it does feel like it's more common in women, but it certainly isn't exclusive to women at all because men have the same issue sometimes. You know, they can be pissy face. You know, it could be in the opposite direction. Instead of them being overwhelmed with joy, they could be like pissed or angry or, you know, you could tell by their body language that, you know, like when McIntyre, I picked him to win at Clash at the Castle, even though in my heart of hearts, I knew he wasn't gonna. I was like, well, if they are going to give Drew another shot, this would be a great way to do it. Perfect crowd, perfect setting. Roman's held the belt for, you know, since the fucking last Olympics. He might be ripe. But when Drew was making his entrance, I'm like, that does not look like a man that's going out there about to win the title. You know? Looks like a man who's going to be going home beltless. So even the pros, even the people who have been on the main roster and worked for many years can be guilty of this. But I think with the developmental talent, they're a little bit less good at really keeping their shit. What an interesting threesome here. They barely cross paths in, Jesus, look at Elizabeth. They barely cross paths in WWE. Boss Man was kind of on his way out when Steiners were coming in, 92-ish. Scott moving Elizabeth out of the way. I don't appreciate that, Scott. Oh, really, Barry? Yeah, I just missed all of that. Or didn't notice it. Oof. A little late on the cover there, Mike. Ray could always throw those right hands. He was always pretty good at him. He could come awfully close to your chin. Jesus, Ray Traylor and Scott Norton, my God. Who do you think could bench more, Scott Norton or Greg Morgan? Because I usually bench like 5:30, 5:45 at night. It's a Mick Foley joke. He did one of his stand-up shows. He goes, I usually bench 4:40, 4:45 in the afternoon. Love Foley. Rock, Austin, and Cena for the Rumble. Could you imagine that? Technically, you could probably do it. Rock has already been rumored to come in. Austin wrestled last year, and we know Cena has not wrestled his last match. The fact that you can even do that. You know that moment we had at the beginning of WrestleMania 30 with Rock, Austin, and Hogan? It would be cool to do something like that with the three of these guys. Sans Hogan with Cena in his place, but instead of like a segment where they're just drinking beer and saluting the crowd, they're wrestling each other. Oh, you talk about a moment. I mean, there's competition now, don't forget. You know, WWE wants to wave its cock around and show how big it is, you know, and show how much bigger they are than AEW. What a great way to do it than have Austin, Rock, and Cena fighting each other in front of 70,000 fucking people. Holy shit. I would love to see that. That would be one way I would be cool with Rock coming in the Rumble, is if you had Austin in the Rumble. Rock and Austin. 20 years? It was 2003, right? Bro. Would you be cool with like Austin and Rock being on opposite sides of a tag or something at WrestleMania? Maybe they do something like that. What if it's like Austin? What if it could be Austin and Kevin Owens against Roman and Rock? What if you do that? And then you have Rock and Roman lose, and then Roman turns on the Rock, and then you do Rock and Roman at SummerSlam instead of WrestleMania. You could do that. Or you could do Roman and Austin against Owens and Rock. I don't know. You got some options there too, but the idea of actually having The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and John Cena in the Royal Rumble makes my liver quiver, my back crack. Yeah, I've seen the Roman on both nights. I think that's been rumored ever since he won both titles. If they're going to have Roman go into WrestleMania, that would be one perfect way to ununify those things, is to have him defend them both. But if you have a match with The Rock that isn't for any titles, that means you could always do it that way too. You could have him defend both belts on one night as the undisputed title, and then face Rock on night two. But I don't know if I like that. I don't want either one of Roman's matches against the Royal Rumble winner or Rock to be overshadowed by the other. You know, for example, if Cody wins the Rumble, I mean, it would be a good way to keep Roman strong. You could have Cody win the belt on night one, and then Roman wins the next night on night two. But, oh my God. Oh, Scott Norton saved Vincent. I can't believe Vincent's actually in a match here. How many times did Vincent actually wrestle in WCW? It is crazy to see Savage on opposite, or on the same team as fucking Virgil, going against Ted DiBiase. That's really bizarre now that I'm watching this and it's registering. When Savage won the WWE title after WrestleMania 4, Virgil was like the first guy he worked with on TV. Very first match. I think it was a non-title match too. And Virgil like dominated him. Because back then Virgil was still scary. He was, you know, we didn't realize that he was. Because after that, Virgil was no longer a menacing factor. Virgil was a weakling. It was interesting how he was used. Prior to him, you know, getting in the ring, he was feared, and as a kid, I remember being scared of him. Ooh, a nasty bump. Top rope elbow coming to Scotty from Savage. That's ball game. NWO wins. And so when Virgil faced Randy in his first match on TV, at least that I remember, Virgil was like whipping his ass a little bit, but then Savage came back and won. And then after that, every time Virgil would get physical during a match, for backing up, while he was backing up Ted, he would usually get his ass kicked. And then Ted DiBiase started abusing him, you know. Now there's Savage still jawing with the rest of these guys. Vincent took the Frankensteiner pretty good. Ooh, That electric chair bump was almost bad, but he did land right in top rope elbow position. Hits it nicely. New world order. It is cool just to see Savage. I mean, they were divorced at this point, you know? They were no longer together, and Savage at one time was so possessive of Elizabeth. It's just amazing that he was able to have this relationship with her and not revert back to those possessive ways. Apparently he was cool with her having a new life and a new relationship and all that. And it's just crazy to me. And cool. DDP and Kimberly stayed close after their divorce. Rock is business partners with his ex-wife. I like that. I like it when, you know, people can maintain good relationships with their exes, especially if they have kids or something, you know. Vince and Linda are divorced, but they never even got divorced. I like how they have the blurred out outline. Greg, I can see it. Austin and Rock in the ring, staring each other down. Buzzer goes off and the trumpets hit. That would be awesome. However, I worry the fans would boo him for interrupting The Rock and Austin. You might need to have Rock or Austin be the third guy. So it might have to be like Rock and Cena back again. That would be pretty cool. And then Austin comes out. I might switch it. New faces. Okay, so this is late 97. Who came in? Oh, yeah. Bischoff and Zbyszko. Yeah, Sting, yeah. What's up, Tito? Oh, I bet you I know who he's talking about coming in. He's probably talking about like Davey and Jim Neidhart. Unless they'd already debuted. I don't know. They might have. I don't think so, though. Nick Patrick. Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Bulldog and Crush and Anvil will be coming in. So, yeah, that's who he's talking about. 'Cause I'm like, there's nobody else who's jumping ship. But, yeah, there was a lot of people jumping ship. I was there that night in Fayetteville. I sat next to Crush in a Waffle House on his last night in WWE. Not Nick Patrick. See, my wrestling memory had this all wrong before last week until one of you guys smartened me up. In my head, I was thinking that Bret was always the scheduled referee for Sting and Hogan, but he wasn't. He kind of came in after the bullshit happened. Yeah, it's a match I've really never gone back and watched. No, another match I've never really watched and I've only seen clips of, I've never really watched straight through, is the Hogan-Jarrett match at Bash at the Beach, the laydown thing. Unless we watched that. Did we watch that last year? We might have. I was messing around on my YouTube music for my new car last night, and it kind of syncs up with my YouTube channel, and I accidentally deleted my AEW watch-along playlist. I didn't delete the videos. I just deleted the playlist, so I got to go remake that. I had a point to me saying that. I forgot what it was. Well, I'm glad that late on a Saturday night when there's 9 million other things going on and you guys have just spent the entire day watching wrestling. We got a few people hanging out here late with us tonight. I'm glad you guys are here. Thumbs up button. Hit it. Wow, sick boy. Look at a young Billy Kidman, and Scotty Riggs is there with the eye patch. The early Flock days. I mean, you got to remember, Raven was in the main event of that first ECW pay-per-view just a few months before this. Earlier on in the year. Oh, Mongo. Mongo? He's still here, yes, but extremely grave condition, I believe. We haven't officially lost him, have we? Barry Windham, I believe. Very grave, but still here. Hell no, Dre. I won't watch Empty Arena or Thunderdome shows ever again. I hated all of them. Hated them. Hated them. They were able to pull and squeeze a couple of moments out of them. They had some cinematic matches which were fun. But overall, that's a time period I would like to forget. It was a very strange time. We went through it together. Pandemic TV on the YouTube channel. We were here many nights a week. I was technically unemployed for the first time ever in my life. I was unemployed for 2 months while we had to close for that. Closest to unemployment I've ever came. We were watching, and on top of that, we were watching shitty wrestling. Wrestling that it wasn't their fault. WWE, AEW was just trying to do whatever they could. They didn't know how to do any of this stuff, this empty arena bullshit. Felt like AEW took the lead. They started doing it, had it figured out earlier than WWE did. But then WWE bounced back with that Thunderdome, which at least added some help and some noise. And this is a very early, we're watching a crazy match here. This is heel Bill Goldberg. We didn't really give Goldberg enough credit there during the entrance, but he had not exploded yet. He had turned some heads. But I believe in this match, right? Goldberg is technically the heel. Mongo is the face. Do I have that right? I mean, the football players would get progressively better, and then they finally found one. I mean, Mongo was not a great wrestler, but he tried. But, wrestling started changing with the football players at this point because I believe before this, there was a lot of wrestlers who played football. Vader and Jim Duggan and Jim Neidhart and lots of guys played football. It was a natural transition. But other than like somebody like Ron Simmons, who was an All-American, and, The Rock, who, did okay in football, none of them were like really huge football stars. Wrestling is what they fell back on when they didn't make it in football. Bill Goldberg, same thing, but in the 80s and stuff, it felt like none of them super stood out, and none of them had what Goldberg had. But they were naturally good wrestlers, and a lot of them were super entertaining. But then when you started having football players seeing success and then seeing the success that wrestlers have, then you had successful football players coming in, and a lot of times they weren't as good. Like McMichael, who had a lot more success in football than some other wrestlers did, but he wasn't nearly as good as them in the ring, I think Jim Duggan was far better. Vader was fantastic. Jim Neidhart, 300-pound fucker, could throw a standing drop kick like it was nothing. You had some athletes. And then you had the smaller guys. Austin played football. Shawn Michaels played football, in different positions. But sooner or later, you were going to come across some sort of a true genetic freak, and that's what Goldberg was. And he was a mediocre, kind of awkward-looking football player with hair. You shave his head. You stick him in a wrestling ring. You teach him how to do a spear. And money falls from the sky. It's incredible. And his look is really good. He had that MMA look. When he debuted in 97, I watched that first match. I just happened to be watching it on Nitro when he beat Hugh Morris, and I was just kind of thinking like, oh my God, they're trying to rip off Steve Austin. They're trying to make like an MMA Steve Austin. Because it was eerie seeing this site, like, as being accustomed to seeing Austin in WWE and doing all the things he's doing, to see this guy from behind, it almost looked like Stone Cold Steve Austin was in WCW. And I think that's one of the big reasons why he made it to TV to begin with. And they're probably like, if the casual fan is turning on Nitro and they see what their peripheral vision or their small before HD TV might be showing them, they might think that's Stone Cold Steve Austin for a couple of minutes, and they might remain interested. And then if they realize it's not Steve Austin, they might say, well, if that's not Steve Austin, who the fuck is that? And I could see that strategy. And I think that's really a big reason of how he made it to TV to begin with, is they saw him and his look and like, holy shit. But it turned out to be even better when Goldberg got over, and he was actually exciting in the ring because of the lengths of his match. Not a great dropkick, but he still got up there. Mongo trying to bump as always. Spaz chiming in with the $10. Good to see you, man. This has been a weirdly good day for wrestling. Nice ladies match on both shows. The Iron Survivor turned out to be fun. New Day being champs in NXT has a lot of potential. Oh, and a cheap plug. That's true. Go show Spaz Phoenix some love on his YouTube channel. He's been a channel member and a friend of the channel for many, many years now. And yeah, it was a good day for wrestling in general. The Ring of Honor show, which I've only caught highlights of, looked fun. We crowned new Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions and the Briscoes, that gnarly dog collar match they had. Athena won the women's title. Claudio beat Jericho. And Wheeler Yuta won the Pure. So they had title changes across the board, setting up for their new TV streaming deal, or their $9.99 deal that's relaunching. And the women did pretty good in that Iron Survivor shit, although I did give Roxanne Perez crap earlier for giving away the finish when she couldn't hold back her fucking tears for a Performance Center Peacock show. It ain't WrestleMania. Oh, wow, there's the... And McMichael just planks. An early jackhammer. Is that where it started? Goldberg would always fuck his head up. Or is that from the door? It seems like he had one scar or one gaff there that just wouldn't go away and lasted months and months and months and months. It's an ugly table bump. Just took it all kinds of wrong. Went shoulder first. Got his head all caught up in the stripping that goes around the perimeter. He couldn't even hook the leg because McMichael's just a dead weight. I mean, he looks like he has a chunk taken out of his head. That's got to sting like a bitch. You pour lemon juice in that? Oh, my God. All right. Oh, good. We have a fade to black here, but I'm going to go get a new Stella out of the fridge over here. 2 seconds. Here comes Raven. You wonder where the flock is. Yeah, Raven must have been there for a while, I guess. He might have even came in that summer. What is this match? The Bowery. MJF was at UFC with the AEW title? That's awesome. What's the big match? I don't follow Punchy Face. I know a couple of the names, but I don't know who's good. And I've tried to like it. I've tried to get into it. I just don't like it. I don't like to watch people pummeling each other into bloody messes. It's a strange one.
Made sure that certain stipulations were included. That I would be able to wrestle when I won, where I won, and who I won. And I've chosen tonight not to wrestle.
Oh, he's going to choose not to wrestle. A Raven Benoit. Oh, wow. Raven and Benoit. That's interesting. Oh, Saturn's going to do it instead? Are they going to allow this? Man, I was cleaning with bleach today, and I didn't wear gloves, and it is irritating my eyes. I've washed my hands like a bunch of times, but it's still like I can still feel the aura of it. But at least I'm clean. Oh, maybe while Saturn's making his very long entrance here, maybe I can show you guys the new whip. I don't know if these photos will drop in here or not. I think I've got them formatted. Here we go. Here's I just backed it into the garage a little while ago. This is it. This is our new, brand new 2023 Honda Civic Touring Sport Hatchback. No, Sport Touring Hatchback. It's their highest model of this car. And it's awesome. It's the first Honda to ever have a Bose sound system in it. They've always gone with Honda factory bullshit. Sound system's awesome. It's got awesome wheels. It's fast. Got a turbo engine in it and shit. It's awesome. It's great. I had a Honda Civic. That's the car that I totaled. And it was a 2020. So this is an upgrade. And I went to the hatchback model, which is smaller. And it's very sporty. And it's really awesome on the inside. And it's fun to drive. So that's the new ride that I was at the dealership all day yesterday, getting that taken care of. Here's a shot of it from outside when I got it yesterday. So yeah, that's my new ride. I've got an appointment to get my windows tinted on Monday because my last car was black and it was tinted. It looked really good. So I want to tint the windows on this. And that's probably the only customizing I'll do. I don't really give a shit about customizing, but I really do like to have tinted windows. I like my privacy. And it feels nicer, and it's going to look great on the car. So that's what I did yesterday. So that whole accident was a big pain in the ass. Let's hear what Benoit has to say. Benoit. So what does that mean? Check out Saturn's. Oh, now here we go. All right, so it is going to be Saturn and Benoit. And then here's what the inside of it looks like. So that's kind of the inside. I still have that tag hanging on the on the glove box there. So I haven't even like really opened it up and done a whole lot. I've played with the settings a little bit, and it's great. So I was very lucky after that accident. We did a stream the night that I totaled my car. I made it up here a couple of hours later, and we still streamed that night. And I got very lucky. I wasn't at fault, and my insurance gave me an almost too good to be true insurance settlement. So I was able to replace the car and upgrade the model and landed on my feet. So it doesn't always work that way. Wear your seatbelt. 10 and 2. Don't drink and drive. Oh. I'm not sure how I feel about Saturn's whatever that haircut is. He looks like Wilson from Castaway. Just put a fucking red blood-stained hand on his face and grow his hair out, his sprouts out a little higher. He's Wilson. Yeah, that's exactly where I got it, Dre. I got it at the Kearney Mesa Claremont. I got my first Civic in the Poway location. But when I went down there last week, and I did look at this 2023 model and got in it, even talked to the same salesman that I got my first car from, but they had not much for selection. That was the only one he had. He seemed to really trying to want to push me in it. And I'm like, well, hold on, man. Let me just see what else we got. And then he got kidney stones, and he's missed work for like a week. So I'm like, I'm going to go up to Pacific Honda, which is about a 15-minute drive from me. And because online they have a much bigger selection. And just immediately I was greeted by this pretty nice kid. Let him know my situation. I'm like, look, I'm already in your system. I'm paying off the car. They're getting paid off today. I totaled it. I'm here to get a new one. Here's what I want. Show me. And then he showed me. We got all inside. He showed me what my payment was going to be. I'm like, nope, let's get it down $100 less. And he was able to do it. He dropped money on the price. It's much easier when you kind of know what you want, know what you can deal with. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it for this price, but I'll do it for this one. And they, to their credit, they did it. They were very nice. I got the whole process done in like less than 3 hours, which is a record for me. Anytime I've bought a car, I've been there for 5+ hours doing it. It's a pain in the ass. So that whole situation is now out of my life and rectified. All I got to do is wait for my license plates to come in the mail. So that was about a 3+ week, a little bit over 3 weeks, start to finish. And that's not bad in terms of accidents and insurance. You know, from the day that it happened to the day that I've been figured everything out with insurance, been paid, got everything figured out, and got inside of a new car. 3-week turnaround. That's not bad. Annoying, but not bad. Kevin, you know what's interesting is I didn't drive this car. I didn't need to. I got in it, and I fucked around with the shit, and I'm like, this is fine because I already have been driving a Civic. I love those cars. I know what they're capable of. I know how they're going to drive. There's no way I was going to drive that Civic and say, nope, I don't want it. So the guy goes, you want to take it for a drive? I said, no. I was like, I know exactly what this car does. I know how they handle, and this one is even smaller, and they've improved some on the horsepower and the chassis and all this stuff, and it's probably going to drive even better than my other car did and easier, and I knew what to expect. So he asked me if I wanted to drive it, and I told him no. I'm like, I'm good. I know exactly what I'm getting. And I didn't drive it for the first time until I drove it off the lot. It has 28 miles on it currently. Smells like a fresh baby. Deshaun Williams. Good to see you. Take a drink. I do like Mazdas. I looked at those. But I'm also more practical. Like, I kind of want to have something that's kind of cool, but also not. I'm not going for cool first. I want a car that's, kind of fun to drive, but also I'm an old man. I'm not trying to have like a sports car. I'm not having a midlife crisis here. So I want something that's, that's just a cool regular person car. I'm happy with my penis size, so I don't need a Mustang or a Ferrari or anything like that. I don't need a loud, obnoxious dickhead machine. I just need something cool that when somebody gets in it, they're going to be like, you got a nice fucking car, man. That's all I need. I don't like it when my computer starts revving up. I have no programs open except streaming. Is Benoit going to wind up wrestling Raven after this? So where are we? We are 97. Okay, so they are still I guess, 2 years away from going to WWE. That's still 2 years away. It'd be like January of 2000? This is December of 97, so yeah. Crazy. No freeway chases. I do drive a little fast. I do have a little bit of impatience that I'm trying to work on. I only have impatience for like really, really idiotic people who are just eating up time for no reason, Especially people who are distracted, they're not going when the light screens are on their phone and shit, and people being morons. Otherwise, I just want to I don't really like being on the road, and I don't love driving a lot. Part of the reason why I got taken care of so well with the insurance is because my car was valued so high, and one of the reasons why it was is because I had no miles on it. It was 2 years old, I had 20,000 miles. It was 2.5 years old, excuse me. Going on 3 years old, and I only had 20K on it. I like just to drive as little as possible. But if I do have to drive, I'd like to be comfortable. It was funny, too. I bought the car yesterday, and I had to work last night. So I got everything done, had the car home about 2 hours before I went to work, but I was going to work at the exact same time that I went to work the night that I totaled my car, driving the exact same way. And the sunset, and I drive basically towards the coast, so the entire way I'm heading towards the beach, I just see this beautiful sunset. And on the night that I totaled my car, it was crystal clear. It looked like a cocktail drink, like a sunset. What are they called? Why can't I think of it? Just the layered colors of the sun and the sky, and it looked identical. And I had to drive right over the same spot, the same intersection where the dude jumped out and everything happened with the same weather. Everything looked the same, and I'm driving the new car on the first day. I'm like, if lightning strikes twice, but I got through it, made it to work, everything was fine. So I've killed the curse. Crossface on the floor. No, I don't think my whip can outrun the police. I'm not trying to do that. It's a fast little machine, but I'm not going to outrun anything ridiculous. You get any crazy car with an engine, they're going to blow me away. And I'm fine with that. I got nothing to prove. Nice clothesline. Benoit always had those just ripping, like his clotheslines were like they would tear you. They were so aggressive. Dynamite Kids were like that too. That's the same, that clothesline that Benoit just hit with Saturn, that's the same clothesline that Dynamite knocked out Mick Foley with. Wow. That was 3/4 and with room to spare. He could have gone 4/4, man. Oh, there's Lodi. He's terrible. Billy Kidman. Emo. Oh, here we go, finally. Oh, and Van Hammer. Van Hammer, Billy from Game Chasers. Rings of Saturn. In Florida, the speed limits are suggestions. People go 16 to 45 regularly and not get pulled over. In Florida, really? Wow, that's That's good. Yeah, I tend to speed a little bit, but I don't speed ridiculous. I'm always like I'm not like over 10 usually, unless I'm on the freeway. If it's 65, well, no, I usually am not. If I was 65, I'm probably going 80. But I don't go too crazy in the city. But it's been great in California. I feel invisible to the cops. Like when I lived in North Carolina, I just lived in a smaller town, and I don't know what it was, but they would just pull you over for no reason. And God forbid you had an expired registration or something. Don't let that shit go a month overdue. They would get you. I remember getting pulled over one time. I'm like, what the fuck? And the guy was such a dick. And I'm like, what in the hell did I do? He goes, you know your registration's expired. And I'm like, no, I didn't. And I looked at it. It expired like the previous month. I just missed it. I'm like, oh, it was 3 weeks ago. I'm like, I'll go take care of it tomorrow. I didn't even fucking know. It didn't even occur to me. This is before shit was like so easy online. Now they just send you an email and boom, it's done. But back then it's like you kind of had to take a little more effort. And I just didn't know. And I'm like, I'll go take care of it. And well, I'm going to write you a ticket. And he write, you make sure you go take care of this before your court date. And I'm like, I'm going to take care of it tomorrow, man. It's just like he was so upset with me. And I'm like, what the fuck? So it just always paranoid me anytime like a cop would get behind me, because if I was doing nothing wrong, they would pull me over. And one time it got so bad, I got pulled over for something stupid. It wasn't even, they didn't even give me a ticket for it in the end of the day. But when they came to the car, I was so, because of that previous experience, I would guess I was shaking a little bit. And that's back when I had a ponytail. And I guess I made him think that I was nervous. So he automatically thought, because I have a ponytail, that I got drugs in the car. He makes me get out of the car. They call another cop. They search my car, ask me a bunch of questions. I'm like, I'm going to work. The name of my restaurant is on my shirt, asshole. They have me sitting on the curb. I can't believe it. I'm losing my mind. Of course, they find nothing in the car. I'm just traveling the 2 miles from my apartment to work. That's all I'm doing, just driving to work. That's it. But because I was a little shaky, he thought the worst. They hassled me. I was late for work. I come into work 30 minutes late. My boss is like, what the fuck, man? And I'm like, these motherfuckers, they pulled me over and they didn't even give me a ticket. So I had nothing to like prove. I couldn't show him like a citation to say, see, I was pulled over and hassled. I just had to tell him that. And he was like, we were already busy in the restaurant. So he didn't have time for me to tell him the whole story, or time to listen to me tell the whole story. So he just kind of had to listen to that early explanation. He's like, what the fuck? So I'm bartending. I hop behind the bar. 20 minutes goes by. Phone rings, and this lady's like, is there somebody who works there that has a ponytail? And I'm like, I do. And she goes, did you just get pulled over? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, they pulled you over in front of my house. And I stood at my front door and watched everything. And I just want to tell you that if you want to sue them, I will go to trial for you and be a witness for you. What they did was fucked up. And she was so awesome. And she goes, I cannot believe, she goes, you were just sitting there. I could, and I could tell they were hassling you, and I could hear them. And she goes, I just think that's really messed up. And I was like, well, thanks. But I was too young to kind of think that I might have a case. I just let the whole thing go. I was like, no, it's okay. I'm just happy that I didn't get in trouble, and I don't care. And that was the end of it. And when I think back, I'm like, yeah, those motherfuckers, I should have sued them. And then the plot thickens on that. Maybe like 6 months goes by, right? One of the officers who was there that night came in for dinner, obviously not knowing or probably even remembering that me or the situation or that I worked there, came in for dinner with his girlfriend or wife, and I was a waiter. I was a bartender, but I also served there, and I had to wait on him, and I recognized him right away, and I went up, I was like, do you remember me? And he goes, yeah, I do. And I was totally cool to him. And I served him. I wasn't even like that but much of a dick. And then sure enough, when they leave, he leaves me, I guess, the equivalent of maybe a 10% tip. I think it was whatever the bill was. It was a shitty fucking tip, like $5 on $50 is probably what it was. And I just remember shaking my head. I'm like, what? Just a white trash fucking cop, fucking moron, dipshit. Completely oblivious to real life. And he did that to me, did all that crap to me, and then comes in. He probably didn't tip me bad specifically. I think he probably just tips like that. It's probably how he tips everybody. Not a surprise. Yeah, Billy Silverman, you're gonna hold back Lex Luger. Yeah, I was definitely harassed. But, I mean, it makes me think of how, but that's just one situation that's happened that's unfortunate, and it probably was partially my fault because I was kind of acting sketchy, even though I had nothing to hide. But, imagine what a lot of black people have to go through, or just anybody who's just discriminated against. I was immediately thought of the worst, probably, as the lady said on the phone to me, she goes, I think it's because you had a ponytail. That's what she said. And I'm like, I know. She goes, they probably thought you were a typical stoner, drug dealer, probably had pot in the car or something like that, and I didn't. I was just a good old boy wrestling fan. I was watching wrestling before I was going to work. I wasn't getting stoned and high with my friends. I was being pretty good. So they were dicks. They judged me without really asking me any more questions. All they had to do was talk to me a little bit more logically. But when you have people that want to find the worst, they're just going to do their best to do that. And they tried their damnedest. They were about to rip up the floor, but when they just couldn't believe that there was nothing in the car other than a couple of wrestling magazines and some Burger King fries in the back seat from 3 weeks ago. So that's just one incident. You think about the people who have to deal with this crap, from a racist point of view, from racist cops and shit like that. My God. What they probably make them do. But then again, you have cops that are great, because 3 weeks ago when I was in that accident, they were so awesome. They were there so fast. They were cool. They got everybody out of the way. They took everybody's statements. They were very casual, reassured me, don't worry about it, bro. Everything's fine. We're going to just car out of here. You're not at fault. It's not your fault, man. Weren't suspicious, Didn't drug test us or anything like that. They just were cool. Jesus, Buff is way up there. No, it's Robert. I didn't order this pay-per-view. I mentioned that last week. I didn't order Starrcade because I was still just in a little bit of shock from the screw job, and Bret not being there and him being in WCW was freaking me out. I didn't want to watch it. I was interested, but I was also very nervous for the future of WWE. I thought they were fucked by that point. I thought they hit rock bottom. Yeah, they had Austin, but hell, he was even hurt and kind of getting over that. And even though you could tell he was going to be a big deal, at that time, I wasn't sure if he was going to be enough to like really save the company or anything. And he turned out to be enough. And then when you added The Rock onto that, sprinkle a little Triple H, Undertaker, and Mick Foley, WCW didn't stand a chance. But that wouldn't come until a few months later. At this time, I was in panic mode from a WWE fan point of view. My hero had just jumped and gone to the company that annoyed the shit out of me half the time. I was a conflicted young man. And that's good for young people to be forced with personal conflicts like that, because I didn't know what the right answer was. I didn't know where my loyalty was supposed to be. I was like, well, I guess I can be loyal to both. I'm still going to love Bret, of course, but I still prefer WWE's product over WCW's. So I'm not condoning what Vince did. I think he's a jerk off and an asshole for that. But I still find myself more invested in WWE stories at that time in like 97 and 98 than WCW's. Oh, geez. Good post bump by Bagwell. Good job, Marcus. You want some of this. I like the Luger doc. It took them long enough, Fox Star Killer, to give us that, because they were supposed to release it the July previous, and I think we just got it this past year. It took a whole year to get that thing. But it was well done. I liked it. a fair enough telling of his story. I mean, it's WWE produced, so it's going to be somewhat softened up a bit, but for the most part, it was pretty honest, especially with that Elizabeth stuff. I guess it's a pretty decent analogy, I suppose. Luger's the RC Cola of top guys. It's like, it's okay. I could drink it. That's all that's in the vending machine. And I've just walked through the Sahara. If I decided to go for a hike in the Mojave and forgot water, and all that was there was RC Cola, I would drink the shit out of it. No, I didn't want to see Bret as the special guest referee. I mean, I guess at the time I thought maybe they were on the right track with Bret because it felt like he was dead in the water right away, but they did kind of have him involved in the big, highly anticipated match between Hogan and Sting that had been built for over a year, that had been built since Bret was still... Oh, no, when Bret was on hiatus from WWE. Or at least had just come back. It had taken so long to get there. And for Bret to be a part of that and to have him involved in a main event, high-profile match with a screwy finish coming right off of his exit from WWE and how that ended. I guess from a booking perspective, I don't think they had really quite dropped the ball with him yet. But one problem that I think they had that maybe we should give WCW some slack on is that Bret Hart had nobody to feud with. Who Bret Hart should be feuding with is in WWE. He was fucked over royally by Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels. The storyline should be him showing up on Monday Night Raw and getting revenge on those fuckers, but he can't. He's in WCW instead, where he has nobody that he has any at least immediate personal beef with. So he's going to have to find someone to feud with, but it's cluttered at the top, and there's a ton of political BS backstage, and it's going to be hard for him to be WWF Bret in WCW. Virtually impossible. So I guess at least at first, they were on the right track with him. Putting him in that referee capacity. And we have an awoken Bub. I'm going to see if he wants to come up here. Bub is very, very old. He cannot jump up here on his own, but I'm going to lay him here on his blanket and see if he just wants to take a nap. So just hold, chill. 1 second. Hey, buddy. Turn this off. All right, he's here. He's here. Hoping he'll just lay down and take a nap, and I'll feed him later. I'm not going to show him on camera. He's a little frail right now. But he's still here. WCW, there's Booker T. I like that Vincent's back out there after his loss earlier on in the six-man. Yeah, Luger had a great look, but he had a couple of moments, though. I think nothing from WWF or this version of him, except maybe with the exception of his win over Hogan, I thought was particularly great from Luger in the ring. He never impressed me in the ring in WWE. I can't think of any great matches he really had. He might have had an okay match or two with maybe Tatanka or something, but I can't think of really great matches that Luger had. My best memories of him in the ring would be like early WCW and NWA and NWA and early WCW days. 86, 87, 88. or maybe like 87, 88, 89, he could go and turn it up. I thought he was slightly better than Hogan. But this version of Luger to me was never that great. Zane G, what's up, man? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Good to see Alan Carter as well. I owe you a shout out. Thanks for being here this late evening, wherever you are. Barry, I know it's super early for you. Barry out in Hawaii, it is 6:21 in the p.m. Yeah, Tonga Kid and Rikishi look very much alike in the face. It's easy to see that, especially if you go back and watch Tonga Kid or Tama matches from back in the day. They look a lot alike. He would briefly come in. I don't know if We Are Pro Wrestling is still in the house or not, but back in like 96, I guess it was before Raw started getting really big. They were still doing the syndicated superstar shows and stuff. And they had two Samoan guys in suits that would start to watch matches in the entranceway. And I'm pretty sure that one of them was Tonga Kid. He had gained a lot of weight. One of them was him for sure, and I think the other one might have been Samu. And I don't know what they were coming in to do. I might be wrong on the two names, but they were only on TV maybe a couple of weeks where they were just shown in the entranceway and then they disappeared. So whatever they had planned for them fell through. I remember hearing about it and reading about it at the time, but I don't remember what the story is now. So if anybody remembers that, let me know. Because that would have put him out of WWE for about 8 years. I don't remember Tonga Kid in WWE beyond 1988. I think he was already gone by 89. I still miss Umanga too. Loved Solo Sikoa doing the Samoan Spike the other night. It was cool. All right, Buff and Luger. How many hours? We're an hour and 38 in. I have no idea what the other matches are. That last one we pretty much ignored. Oh, it's 7:20, Barry? I thought Hawaii was a 3-hour difference. It should be 6:30, Barry. I think, unless I have leaped into a different time zone. Oh, Rosie might have been one of them. All right, Luger's starting to roll here with the clotheslines. He loves those. Luger, he was so stiff. He was like stiff like a board when he, at this time period. I remember being a little bit like taking more reckless bumps in the mid 80s or late 80s. This is way later in his career, so he just didn't feel like, but the way he like just threw these weird punches, they looked terrible. He took weird bumps, the way he would fall on his back. He took very controlled bumps, probably because he had to, but like imagine if Luger had like, if he could move like Kenny Omega, like, oh my God. with that body and that size and running around like that. I mean, I think of someone like Drew McIntyre, just infinitely better than Luger with an equally good look. Virgil is going to the top. Oh, that's right. Fuck you, Virgil. Here's a little clothesline from the narcissist. He's going over. Goodbye, Vince. Poor guy. How is it 2 hours difference? Barry, I'm glad that... Oh, I know why. It's because, okay, phew, you're not wrong, Barry. It's because Hawaii, I don't think you guys do daylight savings. You don't move your clocks like the rest of us, right? I think there's a couple states that do that. So that means this time of year, you're only a 2 hour difference instead of a 3. That probably explains our dilemma, because your computer would not lie to you. My computer would not lie to me. My phone, your computer and my phone would have to be in cahoots. Hey, let's fuck with Barry and Greg and make them think they're living in the Bermuda Triangle. Oh, wow. Up with hope, down with dope. Rack him too. Don't rack Savage. Savage was on your side back in '93. He wanted you to beat Yokozuna. Torture rack on Savage. Hey, Savage, is it okay if I... Shut up, brother. But yeah, since you guys are divorced, shut up. Don't even say it. Yeah, but I was thinking maybe me and... Shut up. Low blow by Norton and a chain or something he hit him with. Or a dog collar. A leash. Yeah, Luger and Buff would be totally buffed. Kind of like Pretty Wonderful. Or, who else did that? Too, and Buff wins. Pretty Wonderful with Pretty Paul Orndorff and Mr. Wonderful, or Pretty Paul Roma and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. And then totally buffed with Luger and Buff. Who else took their names and kind of melded them into a tag team? Oh, we get more Elizabeth, which is awesome. And we get the Jobber NWO music, which I love. Is this also a porn song? Because the original NWO theme is apparently, right? Is this also from a pornographic videotape? Very easy booking back in these days, Ray. In WCW, every match was an NWO interference. The perfect event. That's who I was trying to think of. I was like, what's Stasiak's and whatever they did? I knew I was on the right track. You finished it for me, Foxstar. That looked like shit. This whole match was shit. This is exactly why I didn't buy WCW pay-per-views. I mean, it was largely just missable stuff. The undercards of WWE had much more memorable moments, I think, at least from this time period. Like, you had some great cruiserweight matches, like Eddie and Ray from Halloween Havoc sticks out and stuff. But I feel like you just have more of those in WWE, like more like standout, etched in, the annals of time type of moments than WCW did. Oh, U.S. title, okay. Oh, Look at him. You delightful little flower petal, you, with that U.S. title around your waist, strapping Robbinsdale, Minnesota champion, Mr. Perfect. Still in good shape. 1997 Hennig. Oh, he's in the NWO too. Kurt, like, I'm glad that they gave him the U.S. title run. I kind of forgot that he was U.S. champion. So this is Hennig and DDP. I have never seen... Let me think. Oh, maybe I have. I was about to say, I don't think I've seen Mr. Perfect wrestle before, live. But I think I have. I think I did in 03. Or 02. Whenever he was there. For that short time. I might have seen him. But not totally sure. Oh, they've dubbed DDP's shit. I wish we could talk to Triple H about this. I'm like, bro, please, man, help us out. We don't ask for much. But to have these audios in their original form, if you have to cut out a couple of things, it's fine. If there's some things it's just better to cut out for whatever reason it might be, that's fine. But if it's just music and it's royalties and rights and just a matter of paying money that we're talking about here, I guess maybe they had more of an argument when they were on WWE Network because you're paying specifically for their content. And that's where I feel it's even more effed up, is that we're paying them $10. We're paying for this content. The least you can do is give us the content we are paying for. We are not paying for this dubbed theme music bullshit. But on Peacock, it's a much larger platform. WWE just kind of comes along with it. So a lot of fans are signing up specifically for WWE, yes, but a lot of people might be signing up for Peacock anyway. So maybe they can get away with a little bit more, or it's a little bit more justified, but still, we're still paying for this. And whenever I watch an old WWE show, I expect to see it the way I remember it. All those painstaking years of me recording everything fresh off of TV and pay-per-view pays off, because if I ever need the raw footage, I can find it. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I know it's the Nirvana ripoff. That's the problem. There's a lot of songs like that they can't use. But without knowing anything about this or how it works or what avenues you go through to get the rights to music, assuming or hypothetically if they did all that and they did everything right and paid for everything and made everything back to its original form across the board, all promotions, all shows, at the end of the day, bottom line, what would something like that cost? It might range in the millions, like maybe a few million to do that, but I still think that's a drop in the bucket compared to what WWE financially brings in revenue every year and the records that they set. If they could spend a couple of million paying for music rights so we can have footage on Peacock in its true original form without this horrendously terrible dubbed over theme music, I would be a happier Peacock customer. So get on that shit, WWE. Or get on that shit, Triple H, I should say. You know, I could almost let ECW slide, because they were using a lot of stuff like Enter Sandman and stuff, and that's a whole different story. I would think major hit songs from major bands I feel like probably would cost more than the Nirvana ripoff that was used for DDP. I'm just guessing. I might even be wrong, but that's just what I would assume. So I can understand not being able to pay for the rights for ECW because of their choice. That would be a reasonable sacrifice. Okay, fine. Don't worry about ECW. But your own product, come on. You better stop dubbing the shit that you've paid for in the past. I think Rob Zombie is there, and there's some themes that are present, but every now and then you'll come across a show where somebody who has a song from a random-ass band, you don't hear it. In WCW, it's really bad. When they're putting Walls of Jericho over, when Jericho is coming out to Walls of Jericho in WCW, it just does not sound right. Maybe they feel it's an expense unnecessary. I mean, as each year goes by, the need for that becomes less and less great, because think about a 12-year-old fan. Think about a 15-year-old fan. Think about a 20-year-old fan watching on Peacock. Would he even notice that Jericho's not coming out to his right music? Probably not. So the audience that cares about that is probably pretty small, which is depressing. I don't think it's like really crazy that much, Michael, and that's why I think Tony Khan is so cool for willing to spend that. This guy is a billionaire. If I'm a billionaire, I'm wiping my ass with Benjamins. I mean, I'm having Benjamin toilet paper. The Benjamins sent away to a lab to soften them up, and I'm using them as toilet paper. Like, I am like literally just spending. I don't give a fuck. You can't spend, like, what's the point? Like, if you're a billionaire, why would you be so obsessed with making more money? I'm like, you're a fucking billionaire. Sit on your ass. So if I had crazy money like that, I would be willing to spend to give me that edge that maybe my competition doesn't have, because they're not willing to spend for this music. So that gives us basically a free library out there. If there is a song out there that fits a specific talent perfectly, they have a chance to use that here, provided, you know, they're a big enough star worth spending that type of money on. And WWE's only done it a couple of times. I mean, Ronda Rousey and CM Punk, and who else? Yeah, WWE adding Goldberg's theme is the most ludicrous. I'm like, whoever owns that WCW version, how the fuck much could it cost? I'm pretty sure that if we all scraped up a couple of super chats, we could probably get it done. I mean, how much could it really be that it would be considered too expensive to do? And again, this is coming from someone with no knowledge of this world or what type of money stuff like this costs and how it's handled. But I can't imagine it would be something outside of WWE's budget. Forget it. We draw the line there. If we pay for that theme music, we'll go out of business. What? That would be like the equivalent of you or I dropping down $100 for it. At the end of the day, it would probably be nothing, and you would please a lot of fans. Is that James Mitchell? James Mitchell and Greg the Hammer Valentine in the same shot, and Mortis. You know, I don't think of those three as a group together all the time. His name's Vandenberg. That's what his name is? Yeah, I'm sure they can be very expensive, but can they be that expensive? Can they be so expensive that WWE, who gets $1 billion alone from Saudi Arabia, can't swing that? Jawbreaker. I'll tell you this, Vince McMahon's hush money would have paid for a few songs. I guarantee you that. We don't get theme music because Vince is horny. Thanks, Vince. Perfect even, so what are we in? We're late 97 here. Perfect can still bump like that. He's super light on his feet. Arguably maybe 6 years past his prime. Props to Hennig. Once he found that singlet look in '88, he stuck with it all the way up until rap became crap. And then I think he changed it up a bit. Oh, look it up for Jimi Hendrix. Oh, yeah. Well, damn, I'm surprised WCW paid for that. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I can understand Metallica, Jimi Hendrix, and shit like that. That's why I can understand ECW. You maybe can't do it. But how much can fake Nirvana for DDP cost? How much can fake Smells Like Teen Spirit? $11? Diamond Cutter. Oh, he missed. Hennig held the rope. Smart. Feet on the ropes. Classic heel. How you associate Flair with his Evolution run to his retirement versus NWA WCW. I associate Flair with 85 to 95. Those are my thickest Flair memories. After that, I mean, maybe even 94, because once Hogan was there, it was like, oh, Ric Flair got Heisman'd, pushed to the back. It was like, well, you're just going to be Hogan's bitch for the rest of the run of WCW. Hope you don't mind, H. Ric Flair had his reasons for doing what he did, but I always thought it was weird that Flair so easily conceded the #1 spot to Hogan. Sure, most people might even agree with Flair, but you would think that he has a case for himself, and he would have an army of people. The anti-Hogan or the anti-posing crowd, and the fan who prefers the more exciting matches, and plus Flair had an equal amount of charisma, almost just kind of in a different direction, with being a heel most of the time. And I think if Flair would be more vocal about being better than Hogan, he would win polls. Like, he would win social media polls. Like, who's better, Hogan or Flair? We were like, Flair. One new champ with the Diamond Cutter out of nowhere. The DKO out of nowhere. D for Diamond, K for Cutter. O for... Oh, wow, what a move. It's not as good without the real music, you know? But Flair would have an incredible, like, body of work to point to. You know, Hogan's had the moments, the WrestleManias, the tens of thousands of people chanting his name, the epic showdowns with Andre and Warrior. Hogan absolutely has a case and probably will go down as the best ever. But if Flair would have been like, no, man, I was equally important to wrestling because I appealed to another portion of the audience, WWE's competitor, and those wrestling fans during that time were different. And the 1-2 punch, you know, of Hogan in the North and Flair in the South really kept wrestling popular across the entire country. And plus Vince was everywhere anyway. But it kept that type of wrestling alive. And Flair's decorated and celebrated, and he's had epic moments himself, big-time matches in front of huge crowds against major people, including Hogan. But he was always like, oh, yeah, he just always was like a little bitch and bowed down to Hogan. In the sports world and hip-hop world, Flair is a much bigger name than Hogan. Yeah, he is. His name's always dropped on the sports shows and ESPN and shit, and he's in all those hip-hop videos. Oh, check this out. Check out Eddie Guerrero on the WCWWrestling.com. You can go there online. What you have to do is you have to type WCWWrestling.com into your search bar there. And after 4.5 minutes, the page will load. And then you can go to that page and click on it. And then after another 8.5 minutes, you'll be able to read 3 paragraphs of what Eddie Guerrero said. It's the internet. It's called the internet. Here comes Bret. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. What's up, Bret? Oh, yeah, he's the ref for Larry and Eric. I don't know. His Jim Johnson theme was so badass. I'll never be able to hear Bret come out to any theme besides that. See, now if there is dubbing that I would be okay with, if WWE puts Jericho's music in, why don't they put Bret's for this? Bret is in the ring for Larry and Zbyszko. Yeah, if the company was in a different financial situation, then yeah, I'm fine with them having to, not make those sacrifices. But considering how big WWE is, I think they can afford it. What's up, buddy? Here comes Scott Hall. What is this music? This feels definitely dubbed. Was Bischoff coming out to Hendrix or something? It's terrible music. There's no way he came out to this. Flair smoking a blunt with Mike Tyson was the funniest crossover video ever. I would much rather smoke a blunt with Mike Tyson than Ric Flair. I don't know why. Mike Tyson would just be a trip. I could probably trust him because you're not really violent when you're high. So if we wanted to light up, I think it would be really fun conversation, and I would beg that we could tape it. Where if I did it with Ric Flair, he'd be weird. He'd want money for the rights to the footage and all that shit, and he would be a pain in the ass, and he would be no fun. He would just be old and smelly and Ric Flair. Mike Tyson would be much more fun. I think I would just read him continuous Laffy Taffy jokes and see if I could break him. Look at Bischoff putting on the gloves. Oh yeah, he thinks he knows karate, huh? Bret, Zbyszko should bring Terry Silver out. Because Terry Silver, I'm telling you right now, would beat the shit out of Eric Bischoff. Imagine if Kreese got his hands on Bischoff. I didn't know Snapple had facts. I never drank Snapple. Even when Snapple was everywhere and you couldn't escape Snapple, you would sometimes just leave your house and Snapple would just be there. I never drank it. So I guess I didn't notice that it had Snapple facts. Why did Larry get pyro and not Bret? That's messed up. Well, I guess he's the one. The refs shouldn't get pyro. I always thought it was ridiculous that Shawn got pyro at SummerSlam 97. So I believe that refs shouldn't get pyro. So I'm actually on I'm okay with WCW on that one. That was the right call, even though it is Bret. But this is Starrcade. This is something that I would do at Spring Stampede or Nitro. Not Starrcade. Oh, yeah, Vox Star Killer, because, I think Jim Johnson might have produced the new theme, though. I think Jimmy wrote that original Hart Foundation theme, and I think Jim Johnson spiced it up. That would be my guess on that. But yeah, the original theme was written by Jimmy Hart. That's true. Look at Bret checking Eric Bischoff. Well, thanks for that 2.8 there, Eric. He's wearing a headband. What are those shoes? What is going on with his shoes? What are those? Get Johnny Lawrence out there. Take this guy out. Bischoff, you do not look good. You could have done this match on the debut of Thunder. Yeah, we're coming close on that, right? Yeah, Dre, you're right. When Bret did come back in 2010, because they kind of had spiced his theme up for like Natalya and TJ and Bulldog, right? They were kind of coming out to that. And so I felt like they used a version of that for Bret's new theme. And yeah, I did not like that. He should have just came out to his old Bret theme. There would have been nothing wrong with that. But WWE had to put a modern spin on everything, you know. They couldn't just leave it alone. Unless you're a Hogan or something. I mean, you could argue that Bret's theme was in need of a spice up, but I think the fans would have been just fine with it remaining intact the way it was. Oh, yeah. Thunder was about to launch. Okay. Thunder. Oh, yeah. Bret did have a second theme in WCW. I guess he did. Yeah. All right, it is 1 a.m. on the East Coast, almost. Congratulations. I figured if we're ever going to do a late-night stream, it should probably be on a Saturday, when at least a sizable portion of people don't have to wake up tomorrow, but some do. Back in my brunch-doing days, every once in a blue moon, I will do a brunch at my restaurant. I'd say on average one a year. Unless I'm needed, if somebody's out of town or something, and a babysitter is required for the morning. Otherwise, I'm never there. But back in my serving and bartending days back years ago, man, sometimes you'd have to be up at 6 a.m. And that's hard for me. Bret getting physical with Larry Zbyszko. Larry, you better back off. Bret will whoop you up. Bret can beat the shit out of every man in this ring right now. Bret and Scott Hall, however, I think might be a good fight. He's got him. A head scissors. Bischoff screaming. I like how Zbyszko's just messing with him. I know, buddy. He's talking. Bub's talking. Just sit here. Just chill. We have 30 minutes left, bro. Scoop slam that looked like shit. I'm trying to watch him. I don't want him to jump off the desk on his own. I want to put him down. Why don't you lay down, dude? He's trying to protect Bischoff a little bit, give him a little bit of a breather here. Trying to get away with the onslaughts from Larry Zbyszko. Zbyszko had a couple of matches in 97. He worked against Scott Hall too, didn't he? Like Fall Brawl or something? He was still in decent shape at this time. I mean, it was only 97. It's not like he's that old. Pretty sure he's way younger than Sting is now, wrestling in AEW. Oh, Barry's got to wake up. Damn. Well, at least you're, it's not late where you are. At least you're way out there in the Pacific Ocean. Victor's got to be up at 9 a.m. Well, you're a stud for staying up late. Oh, he worked with Scott Hall. It sold out. Why did I think he worked with him at Fall Brawl? I remember a match with the two of them. Or maybe they were just involved. Maybe they just mixed it up in that match. They didn't actually fight. Maybe Scott worked with somebody else and Zbyszko was a referee. Maybe that's what it was. Lay down, bro. Sit down. I could go get you some food, but it's in the other room. Oh, and Bischoff caught him with a kick. Are those loaded feet? Now he's got the advantage on Zbyszko. Yeah, I liked Rock's heel theme was good, and I liked the one before that. I liked the one he started using in like 01, 02, that one. I think 02, I think that one. Oh yeah, Dre, you're like me. You work evenings. I am usually working evenings too. I'm in the middle of Christmas season at work, and I had a doozy of a week this week. My God. That's why I'm off tonight. I'm beat. So every night we got shit going on. And most of the time, not always, but most of the time, these people are here to partay. Sometimes they're little tamer parties, or they're lame, or they're all nerds or something. But most of the time, people are there to party, and it's awesome, but it's also draining. But it's profitable. He did, bro. He took everything Bischoff had. Bischoff, are you wearing capris? Those things should be in a museum. Oh. Damn, off for 2 weeks for winter break after next. That's awesome. Getting your check early, too, so I might go to Miami because why not? Hell yeah. Why not? Have your way with him now, baby. Look at Bret. Oh, there's Scott Hall. What's he got? Oh, he's going right on camera. It's a steel plate, and oh, he is loading the boot. I thought the boot was already okay. So those are weird karate things. It flew out. It went into the crowd. It definitely went into the crowd. So now, is it really steel, or is it made out of some bullshit? I like that he still sold it. It didn't hit him. That's so terrible. Look at Bret. He's like, this fucking company. What am I doing here? I should be in the ring with Shawn right now at DX, beating the crap out of him. But instead, I'm here with your yellow turnbuckle pads. Look at that good punch on Bischoff. Bret still retained the ability to punch. Scott Hall and Bret, look at this. Look at this. Here we go. Nice. Wow. Hey, good to see you again, Razor. Remember Royal Rumble 93? I gave you one of these. It hurt. You lost. I clotheslined you just like this. After that, I put you in the sharpshooter. Tapped like a bitch. I retained my title. Here, it was just like this. Here, I'll show you. Here, I got your legs like this. I wrapped them up. I turned them right over. This is the same position of the ring, too. And you just started tapping. Just like that. See how you're tapping now? That's exactly how you did it, Scott Hall. Tapped and tapped. By this point, the referee was ringing the bell, and I was celebrating with my beautiful Winged Eagle Championship while you continued to wallow on the ground. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we're just going to have you keep tapping. Look at this picture right here. Ah, poor Scott Hall. And he raises Bischoff or Zbyszko's hand. Good pop from the audience. Oh yeah, he did nod his head, didn't he? Back in the day, that's all you had to do. Bob Backlund lost an I Quit match without saying I quit. He just went, yeah, ah. I'm like, close enough. Hey, brother. All right, I'm going to keep him here. I'm going to go grab him some food, and I'm going to come back and just give it to him right here. Hold on, buddy. You stay right there. We're back. Bub is going to get a little bit of Kroger pink salmon. Get back, buddy. But, oh yeah, are they going to show the replay of the actual boot spot, though? Because that thing flew way off. Come here, buddy. Over here. Break it up. There we go. Have at it. And it flew out into the heavens. Whew. Doesn't smell great, but you're loving it. He's chowing down on pink salmon. If you have a cat, give him this. This stuff's great. Same thing with tuna, but this salmon is good. I mean, it's not cooked in anything. It's just boiled. There's no seasonings. It's got a little bit of sodium, but it's fine for your cat, and he loves it. Both of them do. This is going to bring us to our main event now. Sting in the ring. Okay, I can't stand the smell. Let me just go rinse off my hands real quick, and I'll be back in 2 seconds.
WCW. Tonight, we are going to witness the most anticipated match in the history of professional wrestling for the heavyweight championship of the world.
All right. Sorry about that. If I didn't do that now, they would have bothered me. And I really didn't want that smell on my hands. Get the buffer entrance. I remember there was a lot of criticisms about Sting's appearance on this show, too. All this time off.
From the capital city of the United States of America, Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready.
We haven't even done the Let's Get Ready to Suck It yet. That wouldn't even start for a little while, but DX was rolling in WWE. All right, well, at least this isn't edited. And here we go, Hogan and Sting. There he is, Hogan. And there he is in that classic Hogan 97 look, man. I mean, we were a year and a half past the formation of the NWO at this point. And he'd been run. He still has that belt, you know. I mean, he fucking ruled WCW when he got there. It's kind of interesting his WCW run. I mean, in WWE, he was a heel when he came in, but only briefly. But he made his name as the most over babyface in history. In WCW, he was a babyface for a little while. Definitely had his success there and held the belt for a long-ass time. But his big babyface red and yellow days, much bigger days, were in WWE. Even though WCW drew a few houses and he did a couple of matches, his best shit was way before then as a babyface. But he made his big name and made his biggest impact in WCW as this heel. I mean, he completely reinvented himself. And he dominated both companies, one as a heel, one as a babyface. You can't brush that off, you know? How'd you do, buddy? You got a little left to eat. Here, have some more. Have some more so you can have a nice runny poop in the litter box. There you go, buddy. Good job. Bub is pretty much in hospice at this point. I'm just helping him out. Here he comes. Is this our first glimpse of the music with Sting, or has he had any music yet? I don't recall. Oh, that's kind of cool. I don't know what this thing is. They're trying to create images here. It's kind of like the beginning of WrestleMania 6, sort of. I mean, this was a pretty ominous Sting. I mean, it was a very interesting and I think cool reinvention of his character. I wish it could have hit or landed a little better. Sorry, Bub. But it was definitely interesting. And plus, it was also such a blatant ripoff of The Crow. You know, Brandon Lee died 2 miles away from my house? How crazy is that? I mean, he's pretty epic looking. I mean, I do like the look. I do like the face paint. I like the trench coat. I think it would have been kind of cooler, though. I mean, looking back now, I kind of understand. I didn't care at the time, but how cool would it have been had he been able to come out there with a 1994 Sting body, you know? Probably would have looked like a pretty badass character. Somebody that could actually stand physically and have that presence as Hogan. But he came in, as Bischoff describes, as untanned and you know, not that should have not a lot of say in, you know, the success of a wrestler, but I think it definitely would have helped his presentation here when you look at who he was facing. After all that time out of the ring and he comes back, He's jacked. He's been doing nothing but thinking for the past 15 months about getting to Hogan. And Hogan sees this guy that not only looks different, but he's also a little bit bigger. I'm not saying Sting should have, gotten on the juice or gotten back on the juice, whatever the case is. But well, there's our thumbnail right there.
Our crowning jewel at WCW. The franchise of the entire organization. With Nick Patrick, the referee. No lack of controversy surrounding that choice.
Tito, I don't know what the hell that is, but I don't want to know. He just tracked that in here. Animals. Or maybe that's our thumbnail. I think that's it. I do remember when Sting spoke. There was a time on Nitro when he just randomly spoke with no warning. He said something about Hogan. He's like, "You got no guts," or whatever. Yeah, his gear does look a little weird, but he's still a very different character, and this was very anticipated at the time. Like, I do remember that, even though I didn't order the pay-per-view on this night. I remember how long it was that we didn't get Sting in the ring, and how they were managing to have their most over storyline be involving a guy who, number one, isn't wrestling and isn't speaking. He's just up there in the rafters, and they're propelling him down every now and then to Scorpion Death Drop a few people, carrying around a baseball bat, freaking people out. It's another thing that they did right at the time. That and Goldberg, like, they had the payoff here sucked, but a lot of that build, that year-long anticipation of him getting in the ring was fun for a casual Nitro watcher like myself. Hogan sucks, very loud Hogan sucks chants. Oh, no guts, and okay, yeah, he said that to JJ. In any industry. Yeah, Sting was also going through some stuff. I definitely don't think he put in the prep work or. Right off the bat, Hogan's in control. UFC main event ended in a draw for a vacant title. That's funny. You weigh nothing, Sting.
You can see the offensive attack now starting to build for Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Back against the wall, knows he's got to come out and get it done himself.
Oh, AJ, I guess I didn't really realize that. There's a fun fact: Sting has never lost to Hogan. No kidding. I guess that's right. I can't think of a match where Hogan beat him. I thought maybe there might be one missing from, a return after this. That maybe Hogan got an NWO assisted win or something, but didn't even really know that. Well, good. I'm glad there's somebody out there Hogan hasn't beat. Oh, wow, you only experienced TNA Sting. See, I didn't experience hardly any of TNA Sting at all. But I got just about his whole WCW career. I got just about all that. I've seen most of his good stuff. But I thought he was, what I liked about him in TNA is that he was finding success there, purposely choosing not to go work for WWE, and then, you know, having some career reinventions. And then it was even kind of cool how, you know, he started doing the red and coming out in the colors. There was the Joker Sting too, but it almost felt like he was melding the colorfulness of the Surfer previous gimmick and the Crow gimmick and bringing them together. And it made for a pretty cool looking presentation, I thought. Just more reinvention. Hey, Hogan, one word, Rogaine. Rogaine. I remember those commercials. I never considered getting any Rogaine ever. Never even occurred to me. I didn't totally love my hair, so I was like, I wasn't trying to preserve it, really. Rogaine. I don't know, what is it? I don't even know what Rogaine is. Is it like a pill? Or it might be a cream. It's probably a cream. A lot of that shit was cream back in the day. Wow, 9 matches. Sting won 5, 4 no contests. Interesting. Surprised they only had 9. Is one of those no contests? I swear they wrestled. They wrestled before the NWO, before Hogan went heel. I think they had some sort of match on. Was it when Hogan was trying to be Dark Hogan, or he was wearing that black, whatever was going on there? He might have wrestled Sting on Nitro or something. I thought I remember that, but that, I'm sure, was one of the no contests. Sting's still pretty fast, though. I mean, he's moving fast. Nice. Nitro in 95, that's right. Yeah, I thought the Joker stuff was funny, too. I'm like, this dude just rips shit off. He rips off the Crow, ripping off the Joker, but he does them both well. He's an excellent rip-off of the Crow. He did a great job with the Joker stuff, being some of the footage of that I saw. He was doing a great job. Oh, and he does the suck it. But taking something that's kind of popular in pop, it'd be the equivalent maybe of today of somebody doing a Stranger Things character, like somebody comes in as a Hopper or a Dustin or something. The Hopper would be badass. Roman Reigns would not stand a chance. Hopper would beat the shit out of Roman Reigns. He could kiss those championships goodbye because they would belong to Hopper. It's Hopper's house now. The skullet. Oh, the skullet. The good old skullet. Paul Heyman was rocking the skullet. Or the scony tail. Is that a thing? Is scony tail a thing? I might have made one up. He was rocking the scony tail for a while. See, that I could never do. If I ever saw that happening to my hair, I would be cutting my losses. Pardon the pun. Oh, Eric Young told him to stop all the comedy, and so he became the Joker. Well, I definitely feel validated now, even though it wasn't an enormous audience tonight. I know you guys would be here, and we were able to get this Starrcade 97 done after last week's nonsense. And we've had no issues tonight. And I don't anticipate any issues tomorrow either because we got double duty. I got to work on the podcast after this. I still got work to do tonight. I still owe you a link for that. Crotches Sting. Wow, there's like some 6-year-olds in the front row, and they are getting close to them. Be careful. Don't land on them, Sting. There you go. Other side. Mm. Yeah, and that's another thing I didn't like about this match, too, is that what Shivani is saying on commentary is like there's a hatred, but I don't feel that coming out in the ring. I felt it a little bit in the build because the build was fun and Sting and the crowd reaction and all that, but here in the ring, they're not fighting like Hogan, or I'm sorry, they're not fighting like Bret and Austin did at WrestleMania 13. That was hate, you know? And this doesn't feel like hate. Feels like dudes out there having a match for the championship, and I'm sure they don't like each other, but it doesn't feel like they want to murder each other. You know, they never had that type of intensity or chemistry between them in my mind. So there it is. That was a 3 count right there. That was a normal 3 count. I mean, a Sting in the ring going like, fuck. And Bret's there. Where did he? So Bret just showed up there out of nowhere? That was a fast count. No, it wasn't. And there's Bret going after Hogan. I mean, this was pretty cool at first. I mean, for me, I'm glad that they at least were putting Bret with Hogan. I mean, it wouldn't last. Bret would wind up teaming with Hogan, not feuding with him at first, but... And now there's a restart, and now Bret's the ref, and so now all the cards are falling into place. Crowd's excited now. Sting's getting a little too excited. Here comes Buff Bagwell. And another one. Bret's going to ring the bell pretty quick. And this has got to be hard for Bret to sit here and watch somebody else put his move on like shit. I love Sting, but homie cannot do a sharpshooter. Pointing at Bret. What do you say, Hogan? Yes. And see Bret, you know, as WCW referees point to the hard cam when they ring the bell. Not Bret. Look at Bret holding the belt like, nice looking belt here. Somebody painted it for some reason, but here you go, Sting. Look at Louis Spicoli in the ring, hanging out. I think the Renegade's in there too. We've got Rocco Rock, Big Show, Mortis. There's Wrath, Luger. I don't know who that guy is. Steiners. Glacier. Silver King, Ray. Finley. Booker, Hugh Morris. It's a lot of people in the ring. Yeah, I can see how this kind of fell flat. I mean, this was a cool moment-ish, but that 3 count was sketchy, man. That was a completely normal 3 count. Hacksaw's in there in a tux and the flag. Oh. Alex Wright's in there. The old damn roster. Greg the Hammer Valentine. Ultimo Dragon, I see. Prince Iaukea is in there. Both members of Public Enemy. David Taylor is in there, I think. I don't know who the tall guy is. It kind of looks like Luther Reigns, but it's not. Barry Darso's in there. Mamacita. Is that John Nord right there? And there's DDP. Sonny Ono. Chris Adams. James Mitchell. Who's that? That is Luther Reigns. Is that? I never knew he was in WCW. I swear that's Luther Reigns. Who was that dude in '97? Luther Reigns was in WCW? That's crazy. Maybe that's not him. Look just like him, though. Producer Keith Mitchell, Craig Lett. Look at this. They still would run the credits. All right. That's a wrap on WCW. 2 hours and 42 minutes in. All right. That was fun. I'm glad we got that done, guys. Man, last week was a shit show. Again, I am so sorry about that. And thanks for being here on a late Saturday night. Make sure you join us tomorrow. We're going to be doing double duty, members only, watch along tomorrow night for Royal Rumble 2000. We're going to be doing Sami Zayn t-shirts, Sami Zayn or Sami for Syria charity giveaways tomorrow night that will be available to members only. So we'll be doing some trivia questions. First one to get them right will win the t-shirt. We'll do that during the watch along, but during the day, might interrupt a little bit with football, but we'll be up here at 5 o'clock Eastern time, 2 p.m. on the West Coast to do the Winged Eagle podcast, where I will kind of recap a little bit of Ring of Honor Final Battle. We might touch on NXT Deadline because the New Day actually won the NXT Tag Team titles on that show. We've got the big Sasha Banks New Japan news and some other news and notes to get into, so we'll discuss that tomorrow afternoon. Take a little break, come back for the watch along. That is what's on tap for Sunday. So I'm looking forward to it. Hope you guys are good too. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.